The one I want to talk about is in the welterweight division. Jake Matthews finds a new level.
Bruh.
Defeating defeating Andre Fialho by knockout at 2 minutes and 24 seconds of round number 2. I only have one question. What girl broke Jake Matthews' heart to make him train 20 hours a day to find this new level?
He is. He's got kids. He's got a whole family. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's Dad Matthews now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's his kids driving him crazy. Bro. But all right, Omar, let me throw this over to you first this time. What did you make of Matthews' performance?
Listen, that's striking.
My boy Matthews, disrespectful.
Sorry.
Did any one of us pick Matthews? Did you pick Matthews, man?
I fucking picked Matthews. Come on.
Let Mark go first. He deserves the credit because I definitely picked Fialho.
I did too.
Oh, man. All right, I will go first, and I will start by saying, as we've touched on, what in the world did we watch in that fight? Jake Matthews leveled up to apparently being prime Conor McGregor. That was nuts. It's literally who he was reminding me of. And I love this guy. I sing his praises. I say he's underrated. I never, ever, ever imagined he had a performance like that in him. That was insane. And it was primarily his hands. The dude is a grappler. He came out there. He was mixing in everything, too. It was primarily hands, but he had high kicks, front kicks, low kicks. But the boxing, holy shit, he schooled Andre Fialho, if we're being honest. And Fialho is known for his hands. And the grappler schooled him. I mean, Fialho could barely even find him in that fight. He's walking around, he's got his hands down, he's leaning back, and he's still landing first every time with power. Leaning back, hands down, landing with power, snapping Fialho's head back. I mean, his timing and speed on his hands was just silly. And his patience was great. He never rushed it. He hurt Fialho a few times. The finishing sequence was surgical. I mean, the whole friggin' thing was surgical. I've never been more excited about what the Jake Matthews ceiling can be than I am right now. I cannot wait to see this man get in a cage again. I still feel like that was some kind of joke, what I just watched, because I cannot believe that his hands looked that good out of the friggin' clear blue sky. As for Andre Fialho, maybe it's time for that man to take a little break for once. But the story here is obviously Jake Matthews, and holy friggin'.
Omar, go.
Now you may.
I love Jake Matthews.
Now you may speak.
I love Jake Matthews. I, however, have thought that there was always a ceiling for Jake Matthews, right? Like I thought that at some point he just wasn't going to break into the elite of the elite. And that's just based off of the performances that he's had. You know, he's had some losses in his career. But that man, whoever that man was in that cage, it's not the same Jake Matthews. It just wasn't the same Jake Matthews. I don't know what changed. I don't know what he did different, but the confidence that man has in his striking is what made him do what he was able to do in that. You can't do that unless you know you can do that. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. And so maybe something happened in sparring. Maybe something clicked for him. Maybe he was able to figure something out. But that was 100% confidence in the cage when it came to his hands and his striking. There was no... You'll see a lot of guys kind of have moments of hesitation because they're thinking about what the next move is going to be, or they're thinking about what's the next right thing to do. Jake Matthews let it go, let it flow. There was, I mean, the angles his uppercuts were coming from, the angles his hooks were coming from, the tightness in the hooks compared to Fialho's. We had a who was that? Dan Hardy versus Carlos Condit moment for a second where they exchanged left hooks, but the reality was Fialho's was way loopier than Jake Matthews was, and Jake Matthews cracked him clean and hard. Jake Matthews also was able to slip a goddamn jab and came over the top with an overhand. I mean, bro, I want to watch that fight for myself and do it in front of the bag and just do the same combinations and just learn for myself, because the kid was putting on a class, man. It was a literal master class, and I loved everything about it. The Muay Thai was great. He was loose on his front foot, teeps to keep him away, throwing those high kicks as well to keep him guessing. He had him biting on those teeps, on any kind of kick. Anytime he raised, Jake Matthews raised his knee, Fialho was eating it with his arms. Just regardless of whether it was thrown or not, he was eating at those feints. I loved it. I could sit here for an hour and praise every sequence in that fight. I loved it. It was the best Jake Matthews I've ever seen in my life.
Far and away. Far and away.
Yes.
To me, I think you touched on it, Omar. It seems like he had a realization in training or something like that. Something clicked for him. I don't think it was just the training. I think he kind of was like, oh, I don't have to make it this hard kind of thing. He's like, oh, I can do this. I don't know.
It's possible.
Through 15 UFC fights, someone was like, yo, Jake, you know you can box? And he was like, wait, I'm allowed to box? Like, this is about to be dope. Like it was just, it came so out of the blue. And they were saying on the broadcast that I guess he was apparently watching some of his fights, like on his come up to the UFC and seeing how he used to be so aggressive, and that he had made a decision that he wanted to be that way again and like finish people. So maybe that had something to do with it. But the fact, like, if that's really the case, how did we go 15 UFC fights where that never, like, where we never saw that? It doesn't, it does not make any sense, and it's not going to make any sense. But somehow, is what's happening.
I guarantee you that man looks like that in the gym. 100%. He's been looking like that in the gym, probably for years.
Probably.
And it's, I'm telling you, it's a confidence thing, man. It has something changed where he's able to trust himself in the cage when it comes to the striking game. You can't. There's no way you can put those combinations together, be that fluid, be that inside the pocket, be that successful without having that confidence. It's impossible. He found something. He did something. I don't know what it was, but that boy found it, man. But the thing is, now he set a level for himself, right? He set a standard for himself. Anything short of that now, and that fire that he just lit for himself is going to go down. So I hope he makes the most of it. He called out UFC Paris for his next card. Whoever they give him, he doesn't care, but he wants to be on the Paris card with his other boys. I'm fucking down. Let's go, Jake Matthews.
The next fight is a huge one. If he looks like that
Yes.
again, no matter who it's against, the Jake Matthews star is going to explode.
Yes. Let's just stick with the winner here, Jake Matthews, in terms of who might his next opponent be on the UFC Paris card. Mark, give us a name.
I'm going bold. I love Jake Matthews. I get it that this is bold and it's probably not going to happen. I'm booking him across from Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson has
Jesus Christ
for a while now, and it's very easy for me to say given Matthews, because I've always believed that Matthews could be that level, and I do now more than ever. I understand that is probably not going to happen, that's very high up the ladder. Granted, he already has wins over ranked fighters, or at least one ranked fighter. But more realistically, I will say maybe Daniel Rodriguez is a fight that could be great.
Hands for sale in that fight. Omar, you got a name? Welterweight?
I do. And mine, I guess the Stephen Thompson one, now that I really look at it, is probably not as crazy as my pick is. I think the Michael Chiesa fight is super, super interesting.
Same level, yeah.
Stylistically, though, too, right? They're both technically grapplers, but they can strike, man. They can throw hands. And Chiesa has been on a bit of a streak right now, a bit of a losing streak right now. And I think it would be interesting to see if he could put Jake, if he could push back Jake Matthews, or if Jake Matthews could run over Chiesa and make his way into the top 10, top 15.
That'd be sick.